Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for missing last week's Raw review. Now, as we all know, last week's Raw review was absolutely spectacular, and I only wish that I would have been able to do that Raw, but unfortunately, life got in the way, things got a little hectic in my personal life, which I'm not going to get into. It was kind of just, everyday life, things that people deal with. But anyway, today we are doing Raw review about last night's Raw, April 6, 2015. Now, this Raw wasn't as good as last week's, but it was still, I have to say, a decent and entertaining show, none the least. It had its ups and downs, it had its good moments, it had its bad moments. It reflects some of the bad crap that they've been doing the last several months. They had some good stuff that they had from last week. That's pretty much what the show is like. Start off the show. I don't completely remember the promos in order or how they were done, but I'll try to do my best to get through all of that. But just from what I remember, first Raw promo of the night was with Seth Rollins and the rest of the Authority. And I have to say this much, Seth Rollins kind of reminds me and has some of the traits of Edge and Randy Orton. He's kind of a sneaky, coward champion, but I have a good feeling that in this Extreme Rules pay-per-view, he's actually going to defend that title. He's going to walk away victorious, and it's going to be a fun and entertaining show that he's going to put on with whoever he faces, which I will definitely give you the end result of that at the end of this review. So we start off the night with those two guys. Kane kind of goes ahead and is starting to look like he's slowly starting to separate himself from the Authority. And, he's starting to get a little sick and tired of Seth Rollins belly aching and bitching and moaning, and he's the world champion. His attitude is basically at this point, I'm the operations manager, whatever the fuck he is. Who the fuck cares? He ain't nothing. He's just playing a character he's doing. And so he goes ahead and he states, you're going to put that title on the line at this upcoming pay-per-view. So he goes ahead, he puts Randy Orton, Ryback, and Roman Reigns all in a triple threat match at the end of the night, as well as give them individual matches throughout the night. Now, I don't quite understand why Ryback is involved in this triple threat match. His only heavy momentum was the fact that he had, during the November lead-up to Survivor Series against the Authority, which wasn't bad on his part. He did a very good job. And it felt like he was gaining some momentum until the Authority got rid of him. So it kind of killed his momentum a lot, and he went nowhere. So I think in this sense they're trying to give the audience, some idea that he's going to get some sort of push or have some significance in the company, basically. So he didn't do too bad in his match, which he actually won against Luke Harper, which I will get into more detail as I go through this match card. Now, the promo that started off wasn't too bad, but it wasn't great either. I didn't particularly think that it was the most wonderful thing in the world, but it was still decent, and it wasn't too shabby. So, the first match that was on the card was Randy Orton and Kane one-on-one, ended in a disqualification. I have to say the match was a 2.5 out of 5, mainly because of the disqualification. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a pretty solid and okay match. Now, granted, Kane, in my personal opinion, really needs to retire, as well as the Big Show. They're both too old wrestlers that really need to hang it up. I mean, Kane lately has been, I'm kind of starting to like his character. He's developing into a guy that's getting sick and tired of Seth Rollins. He's getting fed up of his bitching and moaning, and he's fed up of trying to protect him. So now he's just throwing him into the wolves, basically. which I think is pretty cool. But his wrestling capabilities is completely not him anymore. He absolutely sucks at this point. I don't see the point of him wrestling anymore. It's time for him to hang up the boots and call it a day. That's really all it is, and that's what it comes down to. So the match wasn't too shabby, but it ended on a disqualification, which was absolutely horrible. Seth Rollins, after the match, when they get back from break, you see Seth Rollins and Kane in the locker room, and Seth Rollins is bitching and moaning, why you put me in a match with any of these guys at Extreme Rules, yada yada yada, as you guys may have seen from the Raw episode. Kane goes ahead, looks at him and says, what the hell is your problem, man? I mean, you're going to defend that title. You're a fighting champion, aren't you? Or you just have no balls, is what he was coming across like. So he says, you're in a match. I'm not telling you who it is. And the next match on the show was Seth Rollins versus Adrian Neville. Well, now they call him Neville. I don't see why they get rid of the first name. But, I mean, I don't particularly think it really hurts or harms them either way. I think it's kind of like an in-between thing. I don't think it really does much damage to them heavily. I don't think the name should heavily damage them as much as what they do in the ring and what they say on the mic. So I think that has a lot more to do than what the name is. So this match really was a really great match. Very entertaining stuff. A lot of good spots. A lot of flips, definitely by Adrian Neville. This movie's been doing with this moonsault from off the mat, not on the middle rope, and giving himself a boost over the top rope and everything. It looks great, but my recommendation, it's not, I don't think they're ever going to hear what I'm saying, because I don't get a ton of views on this. I want to, but I think that he needs to cut down a little bit less on that move, because it might get too stale to the audience, and they won't find it as interesting as much as they do now. I think it should be used sporadically and not like on a continuous basis. Maybe try a different move leaping out of the ring. That way it doesn't become so stale and boring. But this match, nonetheless, was a very good match. J&J Security had a little bit of influence into this match, but not enough influence into it to make the match where it's a complete screw job. And Seth Rollins did actually walk away as the winner of this match. But regardless, Adrian Neville did put on a great show with Seth Rollins. So at this point, who really gives a shit who won, who lost? It was a very great match between two good competitors. So I had no issues with this. We did have another promo I remember on the top of my head. I don't remember what part of the show this promo was with Bray Wyatt, but oh wait, and excuse me, that was a 4 out of 5 star match with Seth Rollins and Adrian Neville. Excuse me, I do apologize about that. But yeah, we did see a Bray Wyatt promo where he was referring to, fucking Undertaker, but he lost the Undertaker. He's stating he's still the face of fear. Really? In the face of fear? You didn't even come close to beating the Undertaker. Fuck, you didn't even get as nearly as close as fucking Shawn Michaels or Triple H or any of them. And you sure as hell didn't do what Brock Lesnar did. So, I mean, really, I think that was a little dumb as shit. I don't even understand what they're doing with Bray Wyatt at this point. He can't claim himself to be the new face of fear without beating the Undertaker first. And he didn't. So, who gives a shit? It was a good, smooth promo, but at the same time, it made literally no sense. It was like he's jumping around all over the place, making absolutely no sense. What the fuck are you talking about? You lost. Get over it, man. You're not the face of fear. You're the second face of fear, I guess you could say. I don't know. But he sure as hell didn't beat The Undertaker, so that doesn't qualify him, in my opinion, as any kind of thing of a face of fear, like the new Undertaker. That torch was not passed to him. He got his ass kicked, and that's the end of that. He was done. Granted, he was going into that match with a very severe sprained ankle. I understand that, but based off of his character, He's not supposed to be harmed, hurt, or, capable of being destroyed in any kind of sense. Whatever, But anyway, moving on with this whole scenario. We then go into a John Cena United States Open Invitational match. I do like the fact that they're doing week after week Monday Night Raw United States Championship matches with John Cena. The only thing I do not like about this scenario is it's predictable, and not to mention, he's going to win straight up because of the fact that he's going to be facing Rusev at Extreme Rules for the United States Championship. Why do a title match every week on Raw if you know that he's supposed to defend it against Rusev at Extreme Rules to end their rivalry? Not to mention, who's going to win that match anyway. It's going to be John Cena. It's not rocket science. You know for a fact he's going to win. It's not like he's going to win the title and then lose it to Rusev at this point. So that'd be kind of, in my opinion, a little dumb to go ahead and have the title be a hot potato going back to Rusev. Unless they're going something serious with Rusev at this point, and it doesn't look like it, unless they go in another direction with him, but that's not here or there, and I'm not going to go in a long discussion about that. But what I am going to get in a discussion about is the match itself. John Cena faced Stardust. Now let me be honest with you people. Stardust sucks. He just plain sucks. The wrestling skills are still there. It's still Cody Rhodes, but his character with the hissing like he's a cat, all this other stuff is bizarro, it's dumb, and it's ridiculous. It's for, not even for kids, it's for toddlers, man. This is fucking stupid. He doesn't need to be doing the Stardust character. He ain't his brother Dustin Rhodes. He's Cody Rhodes. He should be who he is, Cody Rhodes. He was getting momentum as Cody Rhodes. He should stay as Cody Rhodes. But that's just WWE's decision on what they wanted to do with Cody Rhodes. So, regardless, my opinion about Cody Rhodes' Stardust, the match itself with John Cena was spectacular. I have to say it was definitely a very good match. John Cena and Stardust did a very well done performed match. Again, John Cena reintroduced that move with the springboard off the middle rope with a Stone Cold Stunner. Awesome freaking ending with that move, with it continuing into the FU, or as it is now called, the Attitude Adjustment, which has been called that since like 2008, 2009. So, very good match though overall. 3.5 out of 5 stars. Can't say that it was a really bad match at all. Very good, entertaining stuff. I like the fact that they're having John Cena defend the title week after week, but again, like I said, it is a little predictable, and it's going to get stale after a while. The only thing you're going to really want to look at is the match itself, what's going on in the action, not the result. But there are a lot of people that are disgusted with John Cena, don't like his wrestling skills. Me, as one of the people of a John Cena fan, I like his wrestling skills. I think he's enjoyable. But his new predecessor, his new product version of him, I don't. I think Roman Reigns absolutely blows. He couldn't kiss John Cena's ass. Plain and simple. And I will be able to definitely explain that to you in just a few short moments as we move along in this card. Then the next match after that is Naomi and Paige tag teaming together to beat the Bella Twins. Horrible fucking match. Complete and utter bullshit. The match was full of botches, screw-ups, and it was completely sloppy. It seemed like neither one of the tag teams knew what the fuck they were doing from beginning of the bell to the end. It was just disgusting. I couldn't stand it. And thank God it was only 5 fucking minutes. Because if it was like 10, I would want to go ahead and puke on the floor. It was so disturbing and fucked up. Didn't like it. 1 out of 5 stars. It was a shit match. The next match after that was Ryback and Luke Harper. And again, as I mentioned earlier in this video a few moments ago, Ryback has, in my opinion, gained some of my interest. He's not the greatest wrestler in the world, far from it. But he is definitely a good wrestler, and I think he could develop into a main eventer at some point down the line, maybe in a couple of years. Or maybe in a year or so. Who the fuck knows? It all depends on what WWE wants to do with him. Lately, not much. When he first started, he was getting title shot after title shot, but never giving him the title. He was just chasing it, but never getting near it whatsoever. So, personally, good match. Beat Luke Harper in a very decent match. It was kind of short. It was only 3 minutes long. But decent and fair. I'd definitely give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a very solid match and not too shabby whatsoever. Not too many botches either. I didn't see too much of sloppiness in this match at all. So anyway, moving down with the card. Before we get into this match, we did have a brief promo backstage with Renee Young with the New Day. Now let me just be totally honest with you guys. I know I don't do TNA reviews anymore, but I have to say that the Beatdown Clan from TNA is a way better faction than this. Yes, they have African American wrestlers in the Beatdown Clan, and this group's kind of like that, only they're shit. They are not entertaining, they're not badasses, they're not cool, they're not hip, they're not nothing. They're just bland, boring, and dumb. There's nothing to them, and there's nothing sophisticated about them. They're not unique. They're idiotic and retarded, especially Big E. He's the biggest dope of them all. I mean, he can do some funny voices, but honestly, who gives a shit? These guys blow. Promo was absolutely horrible. I don't remember word for word what they said outside of the fact that Renee introduced a question about how, based off of the audience response on their group saying that they suck, how they feel about that, and their statement was, "We feel horrible." Xavier Woods said that. Who the fuck cares? You guys suck. Get the hell off of TV. Learn to create a new character. Be something else. Just get the fuck out of here. You guys are garbage. You're the same fucking characters you were before you became the New Day. Fuck you, man. You suck. Plain and simple. Anyway, moving on. They have a match after the promo against Lucha Dragons. These guys are spectacular, and Kalisto on this tag team with Sin Cara is great. He's a very good wrestler. I really wish that him and Rey Mysterio would have had the opportunity to maybe one day have a match, but of course that's not going to happen. Rey Mysterio, I've heard rumored that he will be probably retiring from the incident that happened, which was very unfortunate, especially to the man that had that happen, to the man that he happened to kick and give him a heart attack and killed him by accident. It really is a horrible situation for both the man who passed away and for Rey Mysterio. I think it really affected him badly, and he just, at this point, I don't think he wants to wrestle anymore because of something like that, which I wouldn't blame him. I probably would feel very bad about what happened, and you know, he wasn't trying to intentionally kill the man, just happened to be that way because of how he kicked him and he couldn't take it. But pretty messed up situation. But overall, I think that those two would have had a great match if that match could happen one day. But if it wasn't for Kalisto and Sin Cara against the New Day, this match would have completely blowed. This match overall, I'd say a 3. It would be better. It would be a 4. Actually, I'd say it's a 3.5. It would be a 4 if they actually competed against a real good tag team. Maybe Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Which, by the way, they were actually showing footage backstage of them watching the match, which might be a sign that the Luchador Dragons will maybe get a title shot against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, which I think will be a great match for them to do, maybe for Extreme Rules or Payback or something like that. I think it would be a very entertaining match for them to put together between these two tag teams. So I definitely would look forward to seeing something like that. But the next thing came up was Roman Reigns versus The Big Show. Again, I told you guys I would explain why I can't stand Roman Reigns and choose John Cena over Roman Reigns every single time. And here's why. Big Show is kicking his ass. Roman Reigns did a Superman punch a couple of times, and then a spear, and he won the match. How is that at all entertaining? How is that at all, get you on the edge of your seat kind of feeling? It wouldn't for me at all. It sucks. I mean, yes, Goldberg was not the greatest wrestler in the world, and you know what? Roman Reigns reminds me of this guy. The problem is, Goldberg looked like a real, legitimate badass that if you fucked with outside in real life, he'd hurt you. Roman Reigns, I mean, if you're a small guy like me who doesn't have muscles, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with Roman Reigns, but if I was a guy that was 6'3", had a decent physique and everything, I wouldn't be scared of him. What are you, fucking kidding me? I mean, the guy is not that intimidating. I mean, unless you're like me, a small guy not in the greatest shape. I'm, average. But in all honesty, I mean, the guy doesn't look like a legitimate badass like Brock Lesnar. Now, what they did with him with Brock Lesnar was excellent. Again, though, he didn't do much in that match. I was literally flipping out. I was hoping they were not going to make Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar in that match the way they were setting this up. And this was the exact same thing. Big Show's kicking his ass, and Roman Reigns won with a bunch of Superman punches and one spear. Come on, man. You gotta do other things. I mean, he's doing less in these matches now than he was beforehand. Beforehand, he was actually doing something. Now he's just doing spears, clotheslines, punches. I mean, the guy is not that great anymore. I mean, he sucks. I'll be honest with you. I think Lex Luger's fucking better than him. Even though Lex Luger doesn't wrestle anymore. But back in his time, Lex Luger was better than this asshole. Okay? Plain and simple. This guy sucks. He ain't that entertaining. And he doesn't do a whole lot to win a match. He's not unique and he's not fantastic. Match overall was a 2 out of 5. 1, because of Big Show being as old and fucking boring as he is. And then Roman Reigns being boring and worse than Big Show was. But whatever. We then get a promo by Sheamus. He walks out with he's got this new look now. He's got a mohawk, fucking twisted beard with looks like he's trying to get braids in or dreadlocks in his fucking facial hair. He looks like a fucking chicken. I mean, they ought to start giving him a new theme song. Instead of one he's got now, they ought to give him Alice in Chains called The Rooster. At least we get something fucking better to listen to while he walks to the ring and look like a jackass. But overall, he looks dumb as shit. But he's not bad. I like the character. I think it's cool. I just don't like the look. It looks ridiculous. Could have just stuck with the same look and just had the badass attitude. You didn't need to change the way he looked. He looks ridiculous. And strange as well. He looks like a fucking chicken. You might as well have like a little flappy, throat or some shit. Red hair all over it. It look like a fucking chicken for all we know. Who really gives a shit? He looks dumb as hell, but his what he does in the ring is pretty cool. I don't have anything against Sheamus. I think he's cool, but I don't like his look now. I think it's shit. He was fine the way he was, but they were trying to go with a new look. Can't look down on that, but bad choice. Very bad choice. They could have just went with something else. Sheamus was talking shit, stating like how there's no real good wrestlers anymore. Guys like him, they're all small and dinky, and they're not muscular, and they're not huge 6'5" guys with muscles. And those kinds of guys have died nowadays. They don't exist. Guys like Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, those are where the real action lies, where people look at and are interested in. And he thinks it's disgusting and it's flat out insulting to him. And he's like, his attitude is, people say to me, why don't I insult people my own size? And his attitude is, his response to that is, well, it's kind of hard to do that when people aren't 6'5" anymore in professional wrestling. They're like what Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler are. So it's like there ain't nobody to go to have a fight with outside of them. Mark Henry comes out, his attitude, okay, well, I'm not small like them. I'm a big, tough, fat-ass black, sorry about that. Better not say that. That's a little insulting. Big, fat, big dude with muscles. He was a former United States, Olympian and whatever. And he gets his ass kicked. Sheamus beats him 1, 2, 3. Hits him with the bicycle kick, or the bro kick as he calls it. So, it wasn't a bad match, but it was pretty short, 3 minutes long, and it was nothing humongous to go crying home about, but not too shabby. I'd say it was about a 3 out of 5 star match, so it wasn't too bad. So as we move along, boy, this next match, fuck, man. They should have just never had this. Or, never had Mizdow doing anything with The Miz. Damien Sandow, I should say. Next match on this damn fucking pathetic card. As we go further through the night, it did get worse and worse until the main event. The main event was pretty good. Miz goes ahead and defeats Damien Mizdow. Now, my question is this. After all this build-up, all this crap, all this treating Damien Mizdow as like a piece of shit and a worthless piece of garbage, why would you make Damien Sandow lose to The Miz? Not to mention, he loses in a screw job. He rolls him up, grabs the tights, and wins the match and runs out of the ring like a pathetic loser that he is. I mean, come on, man. The man, you're having him stand up for himself, and then he loses. No, you have him stand up for himself, and he wins. It's like going ahead and building up Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, granted, you can't compare these two. They're not even fucking close. They're not even on the same planet. Okay? But, you know, that's like taking Stone Cold Steve Austin, building him up into this big badass, or a guy that stands up for himself, and then makes his ass lose to a pathetic loser. I mean, come on. That's just shit. And I'm not putting Damien Sandow in the same category as Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm just kind of making a point. They made Damien Sandow be a bitch, then he stood up for himself, did something, and then they have him lose? I mean, that's just ridiculous. What is that? Just a lead up for them to have a match at Extreme Rules? Nobody wants to fucking see these two fight anymore. Get rid of it. It's crap. Anyway, I'll say it's a 2.5 out of 5. I have to admit, as I go through this list of matches, it does get kind of worse. But the main event's not bad. Alright, main event. We go ahead. We get Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Ryback in this match. Thank God they had Randy Orton and Ryback in this match, because if it was just Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, it would have absolutely sucked. And that just states one thing. If they can't put Roman Reigns in a one-on-one match with Randy Orton for a #1 contendership, which, in all honesty, those two are the only two legitimate guys that deserve a shot based on the storyline that's been drawn out to us as the audience, that they needed to add Ryback, who wasn't exactly anywhere near a title shot, that just says one thing. Roman Reigns sucks. Period. That's all there has to be said. And this match definitely was a good match. Thanks to Randy Orton, mostly. Seth Rollins' group got a little bit involved in this match. Randy Orton happened to get the RKO on Ryback and pin him 1, 2, 3. The Authority whipped the shit out of Seth Rollins, the Authority whipped the shit out of Roman Reigns, excuse me, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, sorry about that, guys. The Authority were beating the shit out of Roman Reigns, and he was pretty much scratched out of the match completely, which again, that even displays another thing. Their attitude towards Roman Reigns ain't too good. If you're kicking him out of the picture, that's kind of bullshit. If you're Roman Reigns, but hey, I'm the audience and I can't I'm one of the people from the audience, so I can't stomach the motherfucker, so thank God, I don't give a shit. But yeah, Randy Orton hit the RKO after Ryback and Randy Orton took care of J&J security, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Perfect guy that they should go with is Randy Orton. Randy Orton picked up the win on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins won the match at WrestleMania. So these two really should be the two guys going at it for the World Heavyweight Championship. Granted, I don't like Roman Reigns. Based on storyline, right out, Roman Reigns should be part of this as well, but I'm totally fine with him not being in it at all. Pretty much. The match itself was a 3.5 out of 5. Have really a very high opinion about this match. But the match of the night really was Seth Rollins and Adrian Neville. These guys had a fantastic match, very enjoyable, very good spots that they did, as I mentioned earlier with that match. But, so far, my opinion about this lead up to Extreme Rules, it's not too bad, not too shabby. You know, they could put a little bit more work into it, but it doesn't seem as lazy as it's been in the past, in the last year or so. And I can really appreciate that on WWE's part. But they still need to work on a couple of things. They need to be able to give us a show similar to like what last week's Raw was like. And if they could do that, that'd be great, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I really think they should push it back to 2 hours, not 3, as many people probably have said on their YouTube videos of WWE's Raw reviews and whatnot. But that's pretty much it. My overall opinion, the show wasn't too shabby, it wasn't too bad, but they could have put a little bit more work into it, but it was an okay show. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to watch this video. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.